Hello and good evening. My name's Hariri and I'm going to be your IELTS examiner in this interview. So you should know that this interview is being recorded and will be analyzed in depth, and you will be notified of our deep analysis. What shall I call you? What is your full name, please?
My full name is Sasan Qomi, and actually, I'm happy to have a discussion or interview with you as my examiner,
Okay,
and
thank
I'm
you.
ready to answer all your questions.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any nickname in English or any fictitious name? Do you
You
want
can
me to
call
call
me.
you? Mm-hmm.
You can call me Sasi, for example.
Okay, great, Sasi. And what nationality are you?
I'm Iranian.
And do
One of
you belong to a large or a small family?
Honestly, I have a small family, nuclear family. Let's say I have
Mm-hmm.
just one brother, and also we have a actually four-member team in
Mm-hmm.
our house.
So what are
Sure.
you specialized in, and what do you want to get the IELTS certificate for? IELTS degree and score.
Honestly, my field of work is engineering, mechanical engineering. So one of my plans for the future is going abroad and continuing my education for the PhD course, or maybe getting a job in an international company for actually being in more depth about my field of work. So having a degree of international examination is necessary for applying for any jobs or PhD, let's say, course in any developed countries.
Mm-hmm. Okay, do you know any further additional languages apart from your mother tongue?
Uh, as I'm actually taking part in this examination, I'm actually studying English as well, and also sometimes I try to uh, practice French.
Mm-hmm. So, how do you evaluate your French knowledge? Are you a beginner, advanced, or
Yes,
intermediate?
I'm a beginner, but it's a
Mm-hmm.
sweet language in my point of view, and but I'm trying to get better and better in this language.
Mm-hmm. How do you compare French and English now that you're familiar with both of them? Which one is easier? Which one is more enjoyable to learn? Do you have any point of view about that?
According to my knowledge, as I told you, I'm a beginner in this field, but I can see that there are many words which are, let's say, similar in those two languages. For example, when I'm reading a French book, I can see that some of the words, maybe there are some complicated words, but they're completely familiar in my eyes because I've saw those words actually in English books.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there are some similarities between these two languages, but as you know better than me, that it needs practice to master a new
Mm-hmm.
language. Even if you know many words, pronunciation is something else, and grammatical points are something that we need to work on to be
Mm-hmm.
perfect at speaking and other points.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Part one is okay. For part two, I will give you a topic card, and you will have 1 minute to think about it, to brainstorm over them. Let's say prompt or cue card, and you may take notes on a piece of paper, and you have 2 minutes to prepare your answer to the question. Are you ready?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Here it is. Your 1 minute starts from now. All right, time is up. Please.
Okay. Talking about one of my favorite books that I read recently, I can actually I can remember the book whose name was "The Techniques for Success." That was written by a well-known person, maybe Anthony Robbins, and also it was about some techniques and some procedures through which I can be successful in my day-to-day life, and also how can I, overcome some problems such as procrastination. As you know, it's part of anybody's character that people try to delay in doing something, especially some difficult situations and conditions. So it is really important and crucial to be aware all of the techniques that can help you in those situations to be successful, and also having some energetic people and with magnetic personality around yourself, because gaining some energy from the people around you is really important, because some people are really negative and they can frustrate you easily because of the I don't know, maybe the potential or something like this. So in this book I reviewed all of the methods. As I told you, one of them was about finding some new friends who are really vibrant and energetic and dynamic, and they can help you and they can push you through the life to be more successful. And also uh, overcoming laziness and also procrastination and such actually behaviors, and finding some new habits were something that I tried to actually learn by reading this book. And I think it was a really great book in my point of view. Although that was a really big book, it changed my life, and that was the most.
Okay, time is up. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. All right, about part 3, which is a kind of follow-up discussion with regard to the topic card in part 2. How much time do you spend reading books on a daily schedule?
Honestly, in my workplace, I have to read some books, but it doesn't mean that I try to read books from cover to cover. For any problem that I face, I go through any books, especially in my field, to find out the reasons or maybe the logic behind that problem to solve it. So I can say that maybe 2 hours per day is a period that I actually work on reading books.
Fair enough. And do you prefer ebooks or paper books?
Uh, it depends on the situations. According to my personal feelings, paper books are really better because I can, for example, underline some lines and maybe highlight them, and it is something that is, in my point of view, important and influential. But sometimes you want to carry your books to somewhere else, and it is better to go through ebooks in those situations.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any particular studying preference? For example, do you prefer highlighting, taking notes, or you just prefer to study non-stop, or like reading a novel?
I think before going through the next page for reading every book, you need to digest the first page actually at first. I mean, you need to take
Introduction.
some notes. Yes, you need
Mm-hmm.
to take some notes and maybe highlight some words, some lines, and it means that you are completely understanding those subjects. Because if you, for example, read it fast and go through the next pages, you will, let's say, forget all of about the subjects immediately, in my point of view.
Okay. Do you believe people these days read enough in comparison to the past? What's your idea about that?
Although reading books is really crucial and important these days, we can see that many people, because of the hectic lifestyle, do not have enough time to read books. But I think it is different from country to country. Maybe in developed countries, people try to put it into their schedule, but I think, according to my knowledge, in maybe many other developed countries, people do not have time, or maybe have enough uh, energy for reading books, which is so awful.
Mm-hmm. So do you think there must be some substitutes for reading books? That is, if you cannot read books, you can just compensate for that in another way?
I think the press plays a really important role for this situation that you just talked about. I mean, maybe, for example, showing some documentaries in the press. I mean, in the media, TV, radio, or something, and also listening to some audiobooks is something that could be a perfect substitute for reading books, because we have many commuters these days. People have some workplaces which is far from the actually personal house. So listening to some audiobooks could be a best compensation.
Okay, thank you very much. I wish you luck.
Welcome.
Thank you.